So strong and inclusive cultures are all about having different opinions. And so it's interesting, there's a great study done about innovation in the most innovative companies. And the innovation comes from diversity, but not the standard diversity that we think of. So yes, gender is very important, that's in the top 4, but also in the top was having people from different categories. And it's something that a lot of brands tend to miss. They tend to get a little insular, they look at their friends, and then you immediately sort of, women tend to hire a lot of women, men hire a bunch of men, and then they also tend to come from the same category. So the foundation of a really strong and innovative culture, because diversity is really synonymous with innovation, is bringing different points of view to the table. And the other big one is actually age. So having people from different age groups there. So again, it's really all about differing opinions and being able to collaborate. Right? So for example, I have a tech background, and we're talking today to a lot of people from food and beverage, essentially natural products, but mostly food and beverage, some health and body. And it can be really interesting and simple almost to just dip into the tech atmosphere and bring someone from that category over into the natural products and into food and health and body, et cetera. So bringing a different point of view from a different category, and if you really stop to think about it, you can see how that brings a ton of innovation to the table because they don't know the rules of this natural product category over here. And so it's worth it. Is it a little harder? Sure. But in the long run, there is undeniable financial evidence that it pays off in spades. So a solopreneur, right, is I'm one person and I'm grinding out a startup. I don't have the capital, the plan, whatever, to now have other people on my team. So I'm going at it alone. And solopreneurs, as well as entrepreneurs who are getting ready to scale, if they don't think about the culture and the brand and how the two of those really need to fit together at an early stage, they'll be trying to course correct later, which is very hard. And it can be as simple early on as saying, wow, we're a brand and we stand for X, Y, and Z. It doesn't need to be a deck, right? But we stand for X, Y, and Z. I want to hire against that. I want to do social media like that. I want a website to reflect that. And there is the very beginning of the brand and the culture being in complete sync with each other, which creates an enduring brand with EBIT positive results down the line. It is really important. I will say that having been a co-founder of a tech startup most recently that frankly failed, it is all about that resilience. And I know that there are books and blog posts all the time about being relentless, just grinding at something until you're completely exhausted. But in my experience, and then in doing quite a bit of reading on the topic, you really start to understand that it is your resilience. It's your ability to go to 55 investors and have them all say no. And the first 10 for me were brutal. They took me a day, 12 hours to get over, and you have to be really great in front of the team. Everything's good, right? While you're trying to keep all these balls in the air. But my recovery time, if you want to use a sports analogy, my recovery time got a lot faster after that because my resilience was starting to be built up, and I understood how to use those no's to stair step into something else. And so you build up, you learn things, you have experience, you surround yourself with interesting experts, anyone from the 5-minute favor over to a mentor I've had since I was 25, and you have that support system that allows you to be resilient and courageous. And sure, the net outcome could be that you're also relentless, but I think it is the resilience that you need more than anything. I think resilience, I think it can be learned. I do think for some people it's more natural, and for others you're thinking, how do I evolve into more of a growth mindset? Because a growth mindset is, I don't know what this is, but I'll figure it out. It's being okay with process, not necessarily perfect outcomes. And that can be learned. Carol Dweck wrote the book on it, and it can be learned. I think there's a couple things. One, I think in this day and age, at the speed that we're all working, and technology has enabled us to we actually don't have any personal and professional breakage. It's actually a lot of linkage. So if you allow me to be my whole self in what I'm building and coming to the office, you will get more from me. And by you, I mean investors, my team, whatever, my customers. You'll get more from me if you allow me to be both people at the same time. That does mean that there are going to be days where they are much harder and I will take things more personally. And that too is learned. I also know that women and men experience that very differently. And so I will say I personally try to surround myself with a very good mix of ages and genders in my mentor kind of wheelhouse, so that I can be uplifted by certain people in a way that isn't false, but in a way that is nudging me in the right direction.